Well, I'm Chelsea Vale, founder of Epoch, formerly a K through 5 Waldorf-inspired micro school in Bozeman, Montana. Today's lesson is going to be on calendar and teaching time. So these are two things that sound really boring and seem like they'd be really easy to do, but they are difficult concepts for young children and happen to be two of my favorite lessons to teach for some reason. So when I was a kindergarten teacher in the public school system, kindergarten and first grade, I had a calendar on my wall because that's what every other teacher did. And I don't mean calendar that you go to the bookstore. I mean the calendar that I can fill in the dates and the month every year on a bulletin board. You've seen it in every classroom since the dawn of time. It's a straight, flat calendar, and it has no meaning, no depth. But the way that the Waldorf schools teach calendar, suddenly everything makes sense. And I think that it models the interconnectedness of everything, and it makes time matter, and not just time, reading an analog clock versus a digital clock, but really understanding the rotation of the earth around the sun, the hemispheres, time zones, the days of the week. Everything kind of goes together because it's cyclical and spherical, like our world, right? So I really love this. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. But why I don't like straight calendars is they have no meaning. So I had the calendar on my wall in my classroom, and I would call a child up and I would say, "Okay, Jennifer, can you please point to the month that we're in right now?" "Oh, we're in the month of March." "Yay." But what does March mean to her other than just the name of the month? It doesn't really mean anything. We're in spring. Yay. And then you go through the days of the week. Okay. You can do the days of the week song and you can still do the months of the year song. But I like teaching calendar in January at the beginning of the year. And I love to read the book Babushka and the Month Brothers. It's one of my favorites. And I like to set up 12 stones and we pretend that each of the months is a little gnome. So there's a lot of activity that goes along with that lesson. But today I want to show you how to actually put the calendar into a main lesson book. And there's a couple of different ways to do it. If you have, let's say, a second grader or third grader, if you have a third grader, this can become a geometry lesson. If you have a second grader, you're going to focus a little bit more on the seasons and the cyclical changes throughout the year. If you have a first grader, you're really only going to be working on the names of the days of the week and the months of the year. You can also work on this across the span of a couple of years. So don't feel like you have to do everything all at once. Okay. So when you first start this, let's just say that you're working with a kindergartner or a first grader. Okay. You're going to take a large circle and you're going to trace the circle on a big sheet of paper. Why it's really good if it's big, especially if you have one of those big, large main lesson books or a large piece of paper, is because kids write big and kids draw big. And if you make it too small, we can't add everything to it over the years that we really want to. But I love teaching this lesson. It's just so fun. I hope you find it exciting too. So you're going to draw a big circle and trace around your big circle. And at the very top of your circle, you're going to put a 12. At the very bottom of your circle, I'm talking to you like I'm talking to a first grader, you're going to put a 6. And you're going to go to the side of the circle and put a 3. And then you're going to go to the west side and you're going to put a 9. So you have a 12, a 6, a 3, and a 9. Now, if you have one of those brilliant children who seems to make a connection with everything, they're going to go, "Mommy, it's like a clock." It is like a clock. What numbers are we missing? And then you fill in the 1, the 2, the 4, the 5, all the way around, right? And the reason we do that way is we do the north, south, east, west with those, and then we fill it in. It helps to provide balance. It helps with directions, and it helps kids to kind of navigate the circle a little bit better. If you just tell your child to put a 12 at the top and I put all the numbers, most of you moms already know what's going to happen. They do 1 through 11 on this side and it never makes it all the way to 12. So we kind of want to give them some balance points to kind of fill in the rest. Okay. Now, if you have first or second grader, and then don't even focus on the age, like I'm saying, like I know where kids are at, but if your kid's, more advanced than what I'm talking to, then just throw what I'm saying out and do whatever your kid is capable of doing. But around first and second grade, they can typically handle words like horizontal and vertical. You want to model it for them though, because then they're picking up that vocabulary and it's really sinking in. So you're going to draw a vertical line using a ruler from the 12 to the 6. Now, it looks like we've cut our circle in half. Can we cut our circle into fourths? Okay. Some kids want to just draw one other line and then they realize that they're wrong. Okay. You can let them do that. I'm not someone who really likes to let a mess on my page. So I like to guide each little thing, but that's me. I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to the lesson books because I like them to be pretty. But you flip your ruler to the side and you say, what if we drew a horizontal line from the 9 to the 3? Does that give us four equal spaces? It does. We drew one vertical line and one horizontal line, and it went from halves to fourths. Look at that. Now we're learning fractions and we're teaching calendar, but we don't expect them to know those concepts yet. We're just introducing them. We're just kind of planting the seeds. Kids don't usually learn fractions until third grade. And even then, for some kids, it's like, they're like, what? This makes no sense to me. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Fractions will come. So we've got our circle, we've got it divided into fourths, okay? We filled in the numbers all the way around. Now we have these four sections, and we've already read Babushka and the Month Brothers, and we say, oh, 12 on a clock. But you know what else there's 12 of? There's a dozen eggs, but I'm thinking of something else. Now, some kids will say, there's 12 months in a year. There are 12 months in a year. You're so smart, okay? There's 12 months in the year. We just divided our year into fourths, though. Now, why would I do that? If they can't get there, don't let them be frustrated. It's okay to say, we have 4 seasons in our year. Now, if you have a young child, a first or second grader, you might only want to do one season at a time. Okay. So if you're starting this in January, which is my favorite time to do a calendar lesson, now I taught mixed ages. So each of my kids was doing things at a different point when they were doing the calendar lesson, different level of depth. But we're starting our calendar. So we're going to look in that first section, the northeast fourth of your calendar from 12 to 3. Okay. Now, the first quarter, see where I'm getting there? I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help introduce new vocabulary in many different ways. So, from that first fourth of the calendar, that is the first fourth of our year. Okay. That is a season that has 3 months, like all of our seasons. Because if we divide 12 into 4 equal sections, there's three of something in each season. Months, mom. Oh, yeah. Okay, there's months. There's 3 months in each season. So from the beginning, from 1 is the first month. Now, what month are we in now? January? I don't feel like writing the whole word January. Can we just do Jan and then a period just to show someone we're done with that word? Now they've learned abbreviation for months. By the way, that's a fourth grade skill. So we got Jan, period, Feb, and we're writing on the arc of the calendar, Jan, Feb, Mar. If you want your child to write the entire month, they're more than welcome to, but there's plenty of time to also learn how to spell the full word. Abbreviations are great. There is something they need to learn at some point, so abbreviations are fine. You put around the arc. Jan, Feb, Mar. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to decorate that with winter things. We're going to brainstorm winter things. Now, if you're January, February, March, and you live in New Zealand, you're not putting in wintry things because that's not your winter. So if you're a Southern Hemisphere person, you're going to illustrate the winter the way that it is where you live. When I was a kid, sorry, I'm going to digress here for a second. I lived in Houston, Texas, but I just moved from Alaska. I had just moved from Alaska. And my teacher put a worksheet in front of me, and I had to color in the items that we would wear in the winter. And I asked her, I said, well, do you mean winter here in Texas, or do you mean winter somewhere else? Just winter, honey. That's all I can tell you. And I remember being like, but that doesn't make any sense. And she said, what would you wear in the winter? And there I am in the winter in flip-flops and a tank top because I'm in Texas. But I was super confused. And then finally, she just got frustrated with me and I got a bad grade and I ended up crying in class. That was probably when the beginning of my public school hatred began. But go back to that, decorating the winter block. Decorate it based on where you live. There might not even be any big seasonal changes. You might live in a place that's pretty much the same year round, but maybe your child notices that there are less leaves on the tree in the wintertime. Maybe your child notices there's not as many birds. Okay. Maybe this is where everybody has a birthday in your family. Or in February, your child says, that's when we get to eat those heart cupcakes. Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe draw that. Whatever is in your child's mind for winter, that is okay. Okay. That's where this unschooling and free to learn kind of comes in. Do what's important to you. Draw a shamrock for March. If you're, Celtic, Irish advocates. Okay. Now, that can be the winter, and you might not touch this page again until spring. You don't touch it again until summer, and you touch it again in the fall. Okay. And then by the time you go around, you're adding the abbreviations all the way around the calendar. And if you want to go a step further with some other kids, you might even put at the top as you're doing this 12 divided by 4 equals 3 because 12 months of the year divided by 4 seasons, there's 3 months in each season. Now division actually makes sense and it's applicable. And then you're going to take a smaller circle and you're going to put a circle in the inside. Once you're done with your months of the year calendar and all your illustrations, whether that was first grade or second grade, or you're doing it all in one lesson, doesn't matter to me. You do a big circle in the middle. So it's concentric circles is what it should look like. That circle is your days of the week. And whatever day you start this, that's the day you're going to do first. So if you start this on a Wednesday, don't confuse your child and say, well, this starts on Sunday because that's when the day of the week starts, because it's cyclical. So it doesn't really matter if it starts at Sunday, it's cyclical. So you're going to go, let's say Wednesday, Thursday. Now you can write the whole word or you can write the abbreviations. Doesn't matter to me. You can even write the letter T and then W and TH. Again, doesn't matter to me. And then you're teaching your days of the week and your months of the year songs. So we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You sing that over and over and over again. Suddenly your child knows their days of the week. They can learn to write them out. They can learn their abbreviation, their spelling. Again, doesn't matter to me. They can use them in sentences or write a story about the days of the week. They can wear days of the week underwear. Doesn't matter. As long as they know their days of the week, that's what's important. Then your months of the year. January, February, March, and April, May, June, July, and August, September, October, November, December. Those are the months of the year. Super easy. You can do that. Okay. The reason I really like this too, with third graders, you can get into a little bit more geometry. You can actually use your ruler and you can divide each season into 3 equal sections with 2 lines. And you can talk about how that's each of the months. You could go even further than that and divide each one of those into 30 moons or 30 months. We have about 28 to 30 days in each month of the year. I tied this lesson into a lesson on ancient civilizations in Egypt, and my third graders were like mind blown about how the Egyptians created the calendar. Some people go so far as to add the phases of the moon on the outside. You could track those by actually going outside and observing the moon. You could look it up if you wanted to. You can use black paper circles and tinfoil and cut out tinfoil to be the moon at different phases if you wanted to. You could track constellations in the night sky. There's a million different things you could do with this. But what I like about this is it shows the child that our year is cyclical and there's a rhythm to everything. There's a rhythm to our days of the week. There's a rhythm to our months of the year, to our orbit, to our rotation, to our seasons. We can even take a moment to look at the Earth's, tilt and talk about rotation. When I did this with my kids, we were actually in New Zealand at a really cool Antarctic museum. And they had this giant sculpture that the kids could actually rotate and they could see the Earth like moving around the sun. And the placement of the moon doesn't change. And for them, it was like an aha concept. But if you can't do that, go to your local Hobby Lobby or go to Amazon and get a kit and let them actually build the planets or build the sun and the moon and then kind of model it out. But it's a lesson that you can actually go into hemispheres and you could do a compass rose. You can talk about the clock and the calendar kind of going together, the power of 12, dividing 12. It's just a really beautiful lesson and it's multidisciplinary, right? We're doing math, we're spelling things, we're illustrating, we're having discussions, we're talking about ancient civilizations maybe in the beginning of the calendar. Why does calendar matter? Why does time matter? It's one of my favorite lessons. So I hope you liked it. Take your time, go step by step with little ones. At the very end, you'll have a really, beautiful, magical calendar. And one question that I get a lot of times, I'm going to go ahead and speak to, is on nature tables. So there was one mother that I spoke with the other day, and she said that she loves to do a nature table, but her baby or toddler is always pulling things off of the nature table, and it's kind of messy in their home. And I said a nature table could be outside. It could also be inside that only lasts for about 10 or 15 minutes. Really, why you want to do a nature table in your home somewhere, it could even be on your mantle, is you're bringing things from the outside inside and you're helping your children to recognize seasonal changes. For us, our nature table is sort of metaphorical, meaning that my kids know in September we're typically going to do a lot of things with apples. By October, we're doing pumpkins. In November, we're usually doing a lot with fall leaves. It's starting to get a little bit windy and cooler. We have all sorts of activities and fairy tales and Nordic tales we get into in December, and so on and so on. You get my drift. But my kids at this point in life, they're almost 10 years old. They know what to expect each season and each month because we kind of do it over and over again, and they start to look forward to it. So it helps kids to have a little bit of a rhythm to their life, not just at home, but sort of their rhythm to the year and something to count on. It provides some stability and some security, and it gives your family a culture, right? And that's really what this is all about. Doing homeschooling and home education is creating a family culture for your children to grow up, and you're making memories that they will forever have and hold on to. So if you like what you're learning, please subscribe, like, and share this video. Follow me on epic_learners on Instagram, or you can go to my personal Instagram, chelseavale_epic. Follow me on Substack, chelseavaleepic.substack.com. And thank you for supporting. Be well.